Hey, this is Jimmy with Six String Country, and welcome to the Blues Bass lesson. I want to start out by telling you this lesson is a bit more advanced than the other lessons, and there are some licks in the songs that are probably more advanced than any of the other lessons that I have, any of the country songs or any of the basic lessons that I've taught so far. And I'm not saying that to scare you. It's not like a crazy jazz all over the place, but I just want to let you know that if you're new to bass, only been playing for a few months or something, this might be a bit out of range as far as what you want to try now. But basically what we have is there's 4 blues songs that I kind of, I wrote and just put a little arrangement together. And we're going to go through 4 songs, how to play the bass on those songs, the bass line, etc., where to place your hand, how to play with the groove that's there, not to overplay, and follow the kick drum, just basics of kind of that work in country and in blues. And then after we go through the 4 examples, we'll go through the same examples, but I added 4 licks to each of them, just to kind of give you maybe some blues lick ideas that you could use when you're out playing any kind of blues song. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so we're going to be going over the first example from the blues lesson, and basically I want to just kind of start out with a few basics, right and left hand technique. So I like to anchor my hand. This is P bass. Usually I play a jazz bass, so I'm kind of used to anchoring on the jazz pickup here. But when I got this P bass a few months back, I just kind of found a new spot right here that I like to anchor my thumb. So really the thumb anchor just kind of comes down to where it's comfortable for you. You could do it on the pick guard if you like playing here. And then obviously wherever you move your hand, you're going to get a slightly different tone as you move closer, to the neck. It's going to change a bit. So this right in the middle kind of gives the best strike. Yeah, so I'm just anchoring with my thumb and then my index and middle finger. And that's how I kind of get that. Yeah, and then with my left hand, I spend a lot of time. When I was younger and learned to play bass, I had a weak pinky. And, some of these larger strings are hard to push down with your pinky. So I kind of have this thing where I overlap my ring finger over my pinky to kind of push it down. So a lot of times you'll see if I'm grooving on a note, I'm just kind of, right now I've got 3 fingers on that fret, all holding that sucker down, just to kind of get that nice mute in between, because what you don't want is other strings ringing out. I can't even not mute. I don't know how to do it. So sometimes you'll be playing, and then if you stop, you'll hear that's ringing, this is ringing. So you want to try and mute the other strings that you're not playing with your other fingers. And like I said, for me, if you see my thumb is coming over, is muting that one. And then here, I've got this pushed down, and then this finger is muting. So I'm kind of muting with these right here, and then pushing down here. So that's just kind of like if I'm on one note. And then the rest of it, if you're trying to play like... So you do, a lot of jazzier players or people that are playing a lot of notes and not just whole notes like we do in country a lot. You want to spread your fingers out to where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's basically kind of, the basics of left-hand technique. And I'm assuming also that if you are in this lesson, you probably are a little further along in your playing. But just in case you're not, I wanted to show those couple of things. So let's go ahead and get into the first example. And what I'm going to do, we have a progression, and then we have solo 1, solo 2 as far as the sheet music goes. What the bass is playing is the same for the progression section and the solo 1, solo 2. Basically, I just kind of wrote the groove one time through and then have it repeated so you can get it under your fingers, play it, and kind of get the feel for that groove. And obviously once you get the rhythms of this groove, the notes can change, the key can change. So really it's just about kind of playing through this and getting this feel underneath your fingers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play through part of this progression. I'm just going to do the first 8 measures of it, and then we're going to go through that note for note. So I'll play it, not to click or anything specifically, just kind of close to tempo. Play it to where you can hear how everything works together, and then we'll go through note by note as far as what finger on the string, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and play through these first 8 measures, and then we'll go through that note for note. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and that's the first 8 measures. So now let's go through those note for note. We start out on E3, A2, A5, A2, A3, open E, E1, E2, E3, A2, A5, A2, A5, E3, open A, A1, A2, A3, and then right here we go E5, and then E3, E5, E6, A8, E6, 4, A6, E4, 3. And that kind of carries over. So it's a... And then... So that's the one time where we don't do the ba 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 that we're doing basically the whole time. So it's... and then A6, and then E4, E3, and then A2, A5, A2, A5, A3, sorry, E3, A2, A3, A4. And that takes us to the end of the first 8 measures. And something I didn't mention at the top is all the rhythms for that is just ba 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 ba. It's just swing 8th notes or triplet 8th notes, however you want to feel it. I wrote it out as triplets. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to go ahead and go through the second half of the progression, play all the way to the end, and then we'll go through that note for note. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and that takes us into the repeat there and go to the beginning. So let's go through that note for note, starting on measure 9. We're on A5, E7, E5, E7, and then we slide. We're sliding from 7 to 8, so there's not a lot of room here. The best way to do a slide when you only have like 1 or 2 frets in between is... So you kind of slide past the note to get to it. So, and then when you get up to that 8, it's A7, A5, A3, A2, open A, E3 to the G, and then back to what we've been doing, which is just the E3, A2, A5, A2, and then right here we go to A1, E3, and then E2, 3. So it's just kind of the turnaround of the chord progression to get us back into the 1. So sorry. And so that's pretty much the only change right there. So it's E3, A2, A5, A2, A1, E1, 2, 3. And that takes us right back to the top. And so basically, run through this a few times. The best thing to do is to play along with the jam along track, and then you get to hear all the other instruments and up to tempo. That's a great way to practice it. And yeah, that's it for this one. All right, so now we're going to be going over some licks that we're going to be adding to example one. And basically the progression is identical to example one. Four different spots, I added some licks just to kind of give you some licks to practice. And like I said, with the basic progression, these will work in whatever key you want to use them in. So yeah, just some blues lick ideas. And I'm going to do the same thing where I play through it first and then note for note. But what I'm going to do is, instead of going through the whole progression, because we've already done that in the example one lesson, we're just going to go directly to basically the measure before and the measure after, and we're going to play the lick in between, go over it note for note. So we'll go ahead and jump straight to lick one on the sheet music. I'm going to play through it, not to tempo like on the other videos, and because I don't have a click going, obviously. And yeah, we'll go through it note for note after I play the lick for you. So here's the first lick. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the lick. I'm going to play it one more time for you. Just kind of, yeah, let's just do this. So we're in the same spot, E3, A2, A5. Instead of going back down to A2, we go up to D2. And then going to play through it a couple times for you, because just saying the notes, because there's so many notes in a measure, it could be a bit confusing. So is the lick, and note for note as far as the fingering goes, it's D2 and then D5, A, D3, 2 is the slide down, so it's, and then A5, 3, 2, I'm sorry, 5, 3, 1, 2, E3, so it's, and then A3, sorry, A3, E5, and then A4, and then we're up to that A5 for the next part of the song there, like that. So one more time. It's hard for me to play it slow for some reason, so. All right, so that's enough on that first lick. Let's go ahead and jump to the second lick. And yeah, let me play through it first, and then we'll kind of go through it note for note. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, just kind of played the measure after for you too. So this lick is basically we're on A3, and where the measure changes, and this is measure 17, right where it says lick 2 on the sheet music. So it's A3, E5, and then we go a 3-5 hammer on, and then A3, and then a 5-7 slide, and then 7-5 on the D string, and then 8 on the D string, and then A5, A8 back to D8, so 5, 8, 8, and then 6, 5, and then A8, A6, A5, A3, and then we're back into the next measure with the E3. So that's obviously confusing. Just wanted to kind of show you where the fingering went. But with all the notes together again. One more time for you. All right, so that's basically it, and we'll go ahead and move on to lick 3. I'll start out like I have been playing through it, and then we'll go through it note for note. All right, let's go through that note for note now. We're going to start out on, it's measure 28. It's the whole lick is just one measure here. We start out on E3, and then we slide 10 to 12 on the G string, and then G10, and then 10 to 12 on the A string, slide, G10, and then slide 12 to 10 on the A string, A8, and then, D8, and then A10, 8, 5, and then down to A3 to get back into the normal progression. And so basically, I'll kind of just go through it a couple times here for you. And after we do the G's there and we do the slide up, it's just... So yeah, it sounds cool because you're doing kind of all those slides, and there kind of gives it a neat sound. So, all right, and I think we can move on to the fourth and final lick. I will go ahead and play through this one for you. It's kind of it basically copies the melody of the guitar toward the end of the lick. It does a cool little thing, and then it jumps. You'll hear when you listen to the jam along track, it jumps to the same melody that the guitar is doing there to kind of copy it at the end. So I'll play through this lick 4, and then we'll go through it note for note. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and that's kind of it up to close to tempo there. We're starting out, this lick is 3 measures long, and we start out on measure 34 where it says lick 4 in the sheet music. And so I did the measure before where we slide up to that same thing we've been doing. So instead of the da 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 da, this lick is in place of that. So we're going on A8, and then E5, 6, 7, 8, and then A7, 8, 9, 10, 10, and then 12 on the E string, 10, E string, 12, and then we go up to D12, down to D8, D10, D12, D8, D10, D10, D12, D8, D7, D10. All right, and that's just so you see the fingering. And basically, we're going... So, and basically, let me slow it down one time from where the actual tempo is so you can see that and hear it together. So, all right, and that's basically it. Like with the progressions, these licks are going to make a lot more sense if you kind of practice them along with the jam along track. It's got all the other instruments for the song, and it's up to tempo, so make sure to check that out.